How's it going, YouTube? I'm back finally with another video. This one's gonna be a doozy, so I'm gonna try to keep it as simple as concise as possible. Um, my hope with this video is that maybe it helps. Maybe it helps somebody. Maybe it, at the very least gets someone thinking. Yeah, I see a lot, and I myself experience this a lot in life. You wish it was easier. You wish maybe there was a blueprint of some kind, a secret, a big all-knowing secret, an answer to certain things in life. I mean, to life as a whole, how to live it, how to go about it, how to be happy. Um, there's a great little bit in fiction about this, specifically from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Great book, highly recommend. There's a chapter in that where these two aliens make a supercomputer. It's supposed to be the smartest computer in the universe. Um, and they task this computer with coming up with the secret to life in the universe. And when given that task, the computer says, "All right, give me 7 million years." I think that's what it says in the book, 7 million years. And then there's, a little bit there where, like, a couple philosophers kick down the door in the room and they're like, well, if this computer comes up with the answer, we'll be out of a job, you know? Um, so 7 million years passes. All the while, the society is waiting. The day comes. Everybody is, gathered. Millions of people are gathered for the answer, the secret to life, right? And in that time frame, I mean, countless unbelievable amounts of lives have been lived, and people have lived and died in this time frame, and just waiting for the answer, the secret to life. The day comes where the computer is gonna give it, and the answer is 42. That's it. Just the number 42, and everyone's like, well, what does that mean? Is there a deeper question, or is there, something else we should be asking, or what does this mean, 42? And I think, it's a silly book. It's a fun read, but I mean, this really got me thinking, where it's like, I mean, we do this all the time. We human beings, we do this all the time. I mean, we some of us waste our entire lives trying to figure out how we could be doing it better, how we could be living better, how we could have a perfect life, a happy life. And we end up missing the forest for the trees, right? We kind of forget that. I mean, the tools for a happy, fulfilling life are with us, always with us. Um, maybe the real secret to life was the friends we made along the way, right? Something like that. It's easy to get wrapped up, especially nowadays. I think it is, with the internet, this information age, super easy to get wrapped up. Um, Everything seems to be falling apart around us, right? The world, everyone's going crazy. Crazy things are happening, right? Everyone's freaking out. It's very easy to, get caught up in these kinds of, this wishful thinking. But we end up just wasting our time and disappointing ourselves when we can't find the answers, when the answers are nowhere to be found. Because, I mean, like I said, they're within us the whole time. This whole time, our whole lives, the answer to our lives is within ourselves, I believe. Um, yeah, we end up severely disappointing ourselves. But we use other ways to cope, especially nowadays. We use a lot of ways to cope, whether it's addiction, which is unfortunate, or things on social media, certain rabbit holes, certain echo chambers. Religion is used to cope. Ideology, I see a lot of that nowadays. I even was a victim to that for a little bit, where you kind of find a little niche, little ideology, and those are your answers, right? You use ideology for your answer, to how the world is organized and how we should go about living and how our lives should be structured. And That could be no good. That could be very, destructive. If you're rigidly following an ideology, usually not good. Usually not good. Speaking from experience. Um, but yeah, we usually turn to other things or other people to tell us how to think, how to go about our lives, how to live our lives. And we forget about ourselves, about the power that we have over ourselves and our life. We completely forget it. We look to, wealth or fame, like Seneca, one of the early Stoics, and I will be kind of delving into a little bit of that, some philosophy here. Seneca has a great quote, and I quote, "What progress, you ask, have I made? I have begun to be a friend to myself." This quote, heavy, right? This is, perfect for r/I'm 14 and this is deep, right? But it is deep, and I think this is something that a lot of people are forgetting. Like, hey, we should be the masters of ourselves. We should be in control of what goes on up here. We should not let someone on social media, who's really, just trying to rile us up, probably just trying to make us feel worse about ourselves, or maybe trying to scare us, or trying to get some money off of us, off of our clicks and views and likes and subscribes and buying their courses or whatever. We shouldn't be letting these kinds of people dictate what goes on up here. Not at all. Epictetus, another early great Stoic, he has a quote, and I quote, "No man is free who is not a master of himself." Uh, Again, just like what I said, we need to be in control of what goes on up here. And it's hard. I get it. It's hard nowadays, especially if you're living in the first world. Um, I'm not gonna complain about the first world too much. I'm gonna try not to. Although it might sound like it. We live in, especially America, such a world of abundance, right? Abundance of all kinds of things, of privilege, amenities, information, right? Just the thing I'm recording this on right now. So I know I don't want to sound like I'm 70 years old, but like these are little pocket-sized handheld supercomputers that we have at our disposal 24/7 that we spend, a lot of us, I know myself included, we spend an egregious amount of time on these things. And we're getting all kinds of information from everywhere. Any movie you want to watch, any show, any song, any book, anything you want to Google, anything you want to learn, it's all in this. That can be overwhelming, especially if you're on social media a lot. I know I myself am on social media a lot. And I have a habit. I know a lot of people are like this too. I have a bad habit of, for example, the first thing I do when I wake up. The very first thing I do when I wake up is grabbing my phone and getting on social media, seeing what's happened, and 8 or 9 times out of 10, I end up getting angry. The first thing I see on social media makes me angry, right? And then that could ruin your day. That could ruin your day. It's not good. It's not good. Then even outside of the internet, and the phones, you know, I personally have experience with this too. The area that I live in, when we first came out to this area, it was farmland. It was farmland in a small town, and then like a few miles out, you get to like maybe smaller, or small but still kind of bigger towns, cities. But now, uh, development like crazy. I mean, all these neighborhoods are going up. These houses that they make for super cheap, these unaffordable houses that they make for super cheap, throw them up like nothing, right? Um, Build them like super fast because they're using just the worst, most cheap material. Um, and then even, like in the retail, right, you have all these fancy clothes stores and all these, fancy coffee shops and these fancy restaurants, right? I'm sure a lot of us have seen the memes of like the $30 burger and the metal the metal stools and the and the $15 side of fries, right? It's like that stuff is everywhere nowadays, and we are just taking it all in. We're taking it all in. We're stuffing our throats. We're going crazy with all these amenities, all these privileges, everything. Everyone, because of whatever random podcasts they watch, everyone thinks that they're an econ major. Everyone thinks that they're a political analyst. Everyone thinks that they're a psychologist. Um, I mean, look at me. I'm talking about things I probably don't know anything about, right? I'm 22 years old. What reason do you have to listen to me talk about any of this stuff, honestly? But please do continue to listen. Uh, it can be hard. There's a lot, right? And then again, going back to the internet, you're waking up, you're on your phone a lot, and you're seeing things you don't like. Maybe people from the bubbles, the echo chambers you're in, people are saying, the people that you listen to are saying things that are getting you riled up. They're getting you angry. Um, and then you're saying, these people, I'll take for example like Red Pill, Manosphere, right? These people that claim, the men's rights activists that claim to have um, men's best interests in mind, right? They will grandstand all the time about the male loneliness epidemic and suicide rates and all this stuff, which believe me, it's a real issue. But they don't care. They don't actually care about that stuff. You watch most of these guys, what they're doing is they're trying to sell you a course, and they're trying to sell you a lifestyle that is for the majority of people unattainable, right? They're trying to sell you on this lifestyle that if you are not, you know, 6 foot, jacked, if you're not walking around in fancy suits and smoking cigars and drinking and sleeping with hundreds of women and driving fancy cars, if you're not doing any of that, then you're worthless. That's what they're telling you. And that's not helpful to men. That's not helpful to men. It's ridiculous. I mean, but you have things like that going on, and even outside of the manosphere, there's a lot of different like echo chambers and communities that do that. That would just want to get you riled up, or just want to, push misinformation, disinformation about stuff like that to get you riled up. Some of them are doing it purposefully. Some of them are doing it because they heard it from someone else and they got riled up and they got angry and they want to push that stuff onto more people, right? It's a horrible system, kind of a trickle down effect. But it's no way to take in information. I made a video about kind of something like this. It was my first video. Check that out if you so please. But yeah, it can be hard. It can be difficult to cope. Absolutely. And then of course we turn to things like the fancy food or like drugs or vaping. Um, all these fancy vape, these weird like vape flavors, or like all these like flavored booze and all the crazy alcohol that we got nowadays. Trust me, I know. Um, or even like religion, ideology, um, can be difficult. And luckily, fortunately, we are taking mental health a lot more seriously nowadays. I don't want to say we're taking it too seriously, but there are some things where it's like, okay, we can tone it down a little bit. Wonderful progress that we have taking this stuff seriously, but we could tone it down a little bit. But it's understandable. If you're someone with horrible anxiety, horrible depression, it can be hard to get out of bed. It can be hard to get out of bed. It can be hard to even put on your clothes, put on your shoes in the morning, brush your teeth, keep up with yourself, stay clean, stay shower, keep up with your hygiene. It can be very difficult. I understand that, but we need to make sure that we're not letting the world get to us too much. And to that, I think I have a potential answer for some people, for a lot of people, I think. And I want to get into that now. I kind of want to segue into that because we're already at 15 minutes here, but that's okay. That's okay. Um, what I think needs to happen is we need to start not only vetting the things that we're taking in, the information that we're taking in, the people that we're listening to, the, you know, great way to look at this, to suss this out is, take a good hard look at your algorithm right now. What is your algorithm giving you? If every time, every video you scroll onto, almost every video you scroll onto is making you angry, making you upset, maybe, either reduce your screen time or, fix your algorithm. If the people you're listening to, the people you go to for news or information are making you angry and upset, or are making you feel less, like, worse about yourself, if they're making you feel worse about yourself, definitely do not listen to those people anymore. Unfollow. um, Leave those people behind. Don't give those people your money, your energy, your time. And I think we need to start taking philosophy more seriously. Nowadays, philosophy is just kind of a thing. People study it. People study it in school. People read about it. Whatever. But it is a very important thing. It's pervasive. It's in everybody. We all have, a lot of us without even knowing it, we have philosophies. We have things that we're following, certain ideas that we're following, perpetuating without even knowing it. That shows a lot. I see a lot of that in the modern world. I see a lot of nihilism in the modern world, people without even knowing it. I see a lot of nihilism, all this, the world is so messed up, all these crazy things are happening. What does it matter? What does anything mean? Nothing, everything's meaningless. I see a lot of that, and I hate to see it. I hate to see that. I see a lot of absurdism too, where it's like, or absurdism, Epicureanism, whatever you want to call it, where it's like, oh, the world is so messed up right now, everything's horrible, so let's just live in excess. Let's spend a lot of money on things we don't need. Let's drink and smoke and do drugs until we're until we just die, because nothing, the only thing to life is to always enjoy it. And that could be, destructive, very destructive as well. I particularly have been looking into Stoicism a lot. Stoicism, sadly, has become kind of bastardized, misunderstood throughout the generations, throughout time. It sprung up in like ancient Rome, ancient Greece. I've already quoted a couple of the big ones: Seneca, Epictetus. I want to bring up Marcus Aurelius. If you find yourself with some time, I suggest reading Meditations. If you're going to read any book about Stoicism, anything, read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It was kind of his own personal journal. He had no idea. He lived and died without knowing that it became published, or that it would be published later on. But it was kind of his own personal journal. He would just write down little things that maybe helped him, mentally. There's one great quote. You read this, I read this, a lot of people have the same experience. You read it, and it's like, this stuff, a lot of these problems, a lot of these things that he's talking about are still relevant to this day. Like, he has this one quote about getting out of bed, how hard it can be to get out of bed sometimes. And I'll just throw that out here real quick, and I quote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm," right? This one really hits on with me because sometimes, I myself find it hard to get out of bed. I myself find it hard to get motivation, but I think it is real powerful to remember that. I mean, what are we gonna do? Lay in bed all our lives? What are we gonna do? Wallow all our lives? Waste our lives away? It'd be ridiculous. But I do want to get into Stoicism real quick. Stoicism, at its core, is the belief that the universe, the world, what have you, is governed by, what the early Stoics called logos, which is essentially, reason, rationale, logic. Uh, the universe is organized in a logical way. Everything happens for a reason. Now, whether you want to attribute that to nature, God, or spirituality, that's up to you. I personally, when I started to read Stoicism, that it was something that I already kind of believed. So that was kind of a natural fit for me. And then there are three guiding disciplines to Stoicism. There is will, action, perception. Will is the discipline that kind of governs our attitude towards things that are outside of our control, right? Stoicism is a big advocate for the idea that we should only really be worrying about the things that we can control and try not to worry about the things that are outside of our control. Great advice. I'm sure we've all heard that at some point in our lives. Will is the governing attitude of how we treat things that are outside of our control. How we choose to act, react, how we treat ourselves when things that we can't control happen to us. Perception. It's critical to obtain. It's critical to obtain objectivity when presented with information. Perception is how you choose to perceive things. The information that you take in, for example, on social media, how you perceive things that you hear from other people, or how you perceive actions from other people, how you choose to perceive things that happen to you or happen around you. And then action, lastly, is how we choose to react, our governing reaction to things that are inside of our control, things that we can control. I would say this is pretty solid stuff. Marcus Aurelius has a great quote kind of along these lines that is also in Meditations. And I quote, 3 relationships. 1, with the body you inhabit. 2, with the divine, the cause of everything and all things. And 3, with the people around you. This, I think, is like one of the most succinct quotes that really embodies Stoicism. Because, again, Stoicism has been very widely misunderstood, taken out of context throughout the years. Everyone that has slightly kind of looked into Stoicism or heard of it thinks that, it just means to be emotionless, to be a husk, But that's not true. Stoicism is about being, of course, like I said earlier, in control of what happens up here. It's about realizing that bad things are going to happen. Nature, God, nature's plan, God's plan, the spirituality, things are going to happen. A lot of the things are going to happen that you don't like, and you got to learn to live with them. And, of course, to be a decent person for the people around you, for other people, right? I think, personally, this is the philosophy that we need to see more of in the world. I think this is a philosophy that, personally, has helped me, and I think could help a ton of people, a ton of other people. Again, read Meditations. There's a modern writer, Ryan Holiday. He makes he has a couple great books. One thing, going back to Meditations, that I think was being achieved there. Marcus Aurelius has this quote. I don't have it offhand, but I can paraphrase it very well. He was kind of positing the idea that, say, for example, you have a rash. If I have a rash on my arm and it's acting up and it's bad, when that happens, I get some ointment and I rub it on my arm. When I get a cut somewhere, I put a Band-Aid on it. When I get a burn, I put some aloe on it. Philosophy should be the same, should be kind of that thing where maybe you're having a bad mental health day, or maybe you lost someone, or maybe you're having an argument with a friend, or something negative is happening to you, you're experiencing something negative. Turn to philosophy, turn to the things that you understand, your guiding principles. Turn to the information that you take in, turn to the things like that. And if those things are making you feel better, there you go. But again, if those things are making you feel worse in your time of already feeling bad, that's how you know how to ditch them. Turn to philosophy, positive philosophy. Stay away from nihilism. Stay away from the idea that nothing matters. Stay away from the idea that the world is crazy, so therefore you drink yourself to death, or you smoke yourself to death, or you lose all your aspirations because things that are outside of your control are going crazy. Don't give up because of that. Don't give up because the world is crazy. The world has always been crazy. The world has always been crazy. I get it. We're seeing more. We're seeing a lot more because of the internet. You can open up TikTok or you can open up some website and watch someone get blown up in a drone strike in Gaza, or we're seeing all over Twitter like assassinations or gore. We're seeing all these things that we otherwise would not have seen. But these kinds of things, assassinations, drone strikes, bombings, war, famine, these things have been going on forever. We're just seeing a lot more of it now because, again, we have the internet, we have phones, we have social media, and of course, we have people that are taking advantage of our fears, our anger, our frustrations, and they're profiting off of them. We have grifters, like in the red pill space, the manosphere space, people that are taking advantage of how lonely people are nowadays. They're taking advantage of how men are killing themselves at a high rate. They're taking advantage of that so they can make money, and it's happening all over the place. It's happening all over the place, all over the internet. And I think this is what we need to do. We need to finally say no. We need to finally say no. I'm not going to get frustrated by this. Is it frustrating? Yes. It is frustrating that people are dying in unnecessary wars. It is frustrating that people in Gaza are being bombed, that are starved. It is frustrating that famine is still a thing when we have all the resources on this planet to stop it, to end world hunger. I mean, one billionaire could end world hunger. But it is frustrating that we have politicians that are just the worst people ever. But we need to remember that a lot of those things are not in our control. Could we go out and do something about it? Could we go vote? Absolutely. Could we volunteer our time to certain causes? Absolutely. Definitely. Could we, take part in charity? Absolutely. Definitely. But you need to realize, if you want to be happy in your life, if you want to have a fulfilling life, if you want to be in control of your emotions or what happens up here, you cannot let someone else into your head. You cannot let someone else convince you that this group of people is the reason that you're down, that you're having a bad time in life. You cannot let someone convince you that, it's all the women's fault that you're lonely and depressed. You can't let someone tell you that it's immigrants' fault that you can't get a job, or you can't get a house, or you can't afford this or that. Can't let that happen. You can't let that happen. yeah, you have to control what's up here. If you want the secret to life, I think that's it. I think that's it. I think that's the secret to life. I could be wrong. Again, I'm 22 years old. Um, so don't quote me. That's for you to decide. I think the secret to my life is being in control of what happens up here. Maybe down the line I'll learn more things. Hopefully, I always want to learn. You should always want to be a student in life. Um, but yeah, I one thing I do know from friends, family, people older than me, uh, life is not, you're not going to get that blueprint. You're not going to get that answer. And even if you do, uh, it's not going to be satisfying. It's not going to be, oh, okay, I finally got, maybe the secret to life is, getting a family or a house. And I'll get a family, a house, I'll graduate college, I'll get this or that or the other thing or a car, whatever, kids, whatever, and then I'll be happy. No, I think life is more like chapters. Um, this chapter, okay, you get that car. That's a end of a good chapter right there. Next chapter, you get that house. Another great end to a chapter. Maybe next chapter, maybe you lose someone important to you. It's a bad chapter. So on, so on, so on. And that's life until, so on, so on, so on until the last chapter, and then you're gone. You're dead. Sorry. I think that's how it is. Um, but I do think that we can be happy with ourselves by being a master of ourselves. That's what I want to do impart. It's so easy, again, get on social media, play the comparison game. That can be rough too. I know that. Where you see again all these people living living it up, right? Nice suits. They're going to clubs. They're fancy cars, um, living it up. And you want to do that, traveling, right? Going to all the places that you want to go, and you feel like shit about yourself because you're not doing it, because you're not there. Um, or even closer to home, right? People you went to school with, people you work with, friends, peers of some kind. You see them moving on, moving up in the world, having a family, uh, getting a good career, and it's hard to think, well, damn, why am I not doing that? It's no use. It's no use in doing that. It's no use in playing that game because you never win that game. You'll never win that game. Think to yourself what your life means to you. Think what it means to you personally to be a master of yourself and get that done. Get that done. That won't be the end all be all. But it's a wonderfully important step in living a happier life, living a more fulfilled life. Um, with that, I think that's going to be it for this one. Thank you for anyone who watched. Special extra thank you for anyone who watched all the way through. I hope that maybe this helped somebody. Maybe again, at least maybe got some people thinking. I really hope that we can improve as a society. Fingers crossed. Yeah, thank you guys, and I will see you in the next one.